mature, normal 15-year-old walks into a video game store. He sees the game he came to buy and picks it up. Money in hand, he goes to the cashier, and instantly his hopes are shot down by the man selling the game. He is told that just because he is not 17 yet, he is not allowed to buy the game that he saved up to buy. The kid sulks home just because he is not 2 years older. This situation is not entirely unrealistic. Kids are frequently denied the sale of M-rated games. The M rating is one of the Entertainment Software Rating Board's ratings. The M rating restricts games that with mild blood and gore, brief sexual content, and mildly bad language for people of the ages of 17 and older. But why should a 15 or 16-year-old be denied the right to buy what he wants when he is about as mature as a 17-year-old? Is it right to assume that if he is not 17, he is the Entertainment Software Rating Board's next rating down, a 13-year-old? I think not. I think that this needs to change. With the thought that changing the M rating will be beneficial, the proof that video games do not make younger teens more violent, and the statistics that show that people who game are better in school, I will prove that the M rating should be changed from the ages of 17 and up to the ages of 15 and up. The ESRB, or the Entertainment Software Rating Board, or ESRB, was established in 1994 in response to the growing video game industry. People knew that video games needed censoring just like anything else. And soon the topic of whether the ratings were assigned to video games correctly rose up. This topic has been debated for a while. I believe that the ratings are not assigned correctly to video games, or assigned well, and the ESRB has flaws in its restriction system. This brings me to my first point. I believe that changing the M rating to 15 would be smart and beneficial for the ESRB. As of now, the M rating takes up too wide a spectrum. What I mean by this is that the M rating contains games that are bloody but with obviously fake violence, and games that have just brutal gore. On the ESRB website and database, the M rating is defined as content that may be suitable for persons ages 17 and older. Titles in this category may contain intense violence, blood and gore, sexual content, and/or strong language. On the same website and database, the ESRB defines the AO rating, which stands for adult only, and is another rating of video games, as content that should only be played by persons 18 years and older. Titles in this category may include prolonged scenes of intense violence and/or graphic sexual content and nudity. I believe that these ratings are too similar. If the M rating was to be moved down 2 years to 15 and up, then the adult-only rating could be used for more gory games, and the M rating could be used for only mildly bloody games. This would balance out the spectrum of the M rating. An example of how this change is needed is 2007's Halo 3 and 2011's Bulletstorm. Halo 3 has only intense violence and strong language, but no gore and no sexual content. This is only half of the M rating. Bulletstorm, on the other hand, has strong language, blood and gore, and also prolonged violence. If the M rating was to be moved down to 15, then these two games could be separated better into the two categories of the new adult-only and M. The violent nature of some video games links to my next argument in the regard that some people believe that if younger teens play video games, they can become more violent people. This is not the case. It has been shown that violence and video games are not linked. One example of this is a graph entitled, "What Link?" Over 9 years, game sales increased by approximately $4 billion, while crime decreases from 4 million offenses a year to 2 million offenses a year. This proves the lack of direct correlation between gaming and violence. If there was a correlation, a positive correlation, crime would go up as game sales go up, and that is not the case. Some experts also believe that video games do not cause violence at all, but rather relieve stress. If one is stressed, they can squeeze a stress ball instead of letting out anger on a peer. Video games work relatively the same. If one is stressed, they can take out any violence or any violent thoughts on virtual characters rather than people around them. This would prevent violence because if one was angry, they could just play a video game and let off steam. Anger is not the only thing that makes teenagers stressed. Another huge stressor is schoolwork. Some claim video games affect schoolwork poorly, when in reality they help teenagers to do better in school. A study from Yale University found that kids who play video games tend to have a higher grade average, were less likely to smoke or start smoking, and less likely to say they had done illegal substances like marijuana. The fact that games help those in school is remarkable, because people used to think video games were bad for any kind of schoolwork. There are many reasons that video games help schoolwork, one of them being that video games actually can help to teach certain things better than teachers. Mark Prensky, an expert in the fields of learning and education, claims that games with their many puzzles and tactics can teach valuable analytical skills to children, and not children, teenagers, people. This means that students who play video games can assess problems and situations much better than those who don't. If the M ratings age restriction were to be moved down 2 years to 15, then teenagers could utilize every war game that glorifies strategic planning to help them think about their school problems in an organized manner. The plan for my proposition of policy is simple. The M age restriction should be lowered to 15 rather than 17, and the AO rating should be used for more gory games, while the M rating was used for less gory games. This way, the rating spectrum is balanced out, and the ESRB ratings make sense. I plan to contact the ESRB about this change, but to get this proposal of change through the bureaucracy of the ESRB alone would be impossible. That is why I ask you, my audience, to go to the link on the slide above me and try to write to the ESRB about this plan of change. In conclusion, I believe the ESRB would benefit from this change, and the ratings would make sense now. And the teenagers of today would greatly benefit from this change, with better schoolwork and less stress. If you want a world where you can buy more games freely, then listen to what I say and act on it, because I believe that we can get this change through together.